Hey guys, happy Aloha Friday. I'm so happy that you're here with me on our Friday Live Insights from the Herd. So, today we're going to be talking all about resources for supporting ourselves so that we can show up in a balanced and whole way for and with our horses. So I look forward to this conversation with you guys. If you can see me and hear me, please give a thumbs up, give a shout out, a comment, a heart, and let me know you're here. That'd be great. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Crystal Avera. My passion and my calling in life is to give a voice to the horses. That has shown up in various ways because we're not just one thing. For me, that has shown up as me pursuing becoming a Reiki master. I am an empath or clairsentient, so I'm an animal communicator. I am a ranch professional. I worked with cattle for many years, learning from a mentor who was an incredible stockman and horseman, learning a stress-free way of working with a large herd of cattle. So all of these things and other things have shaped me, and also my desires, as Deepak Chopra talks about. Our desires tell us who we are and who we were meant to be in our unique offerings to the world. So rather than feel that maybe we don't deserve to do what we find that we desire, or that life should be hard, or that kind of thing, what we should be doing, he talks about, is paying attention to those things that we're drawn to and that we are passionate about, and pursue those, because that is the desires and the natural passions and the natural skill sets that we have are giving us the information we need to tell us who we are in this world and what we uniquely were born to do. So that's me in a nutshell. And today I want to talk to you guys again about resources to help us become and remain balanced, or get balanced when we get out of balance, and take care of ourselves. I've had some really great connections with you guys recently. Some of you guys have reached out to me and shared your stories with me, or your struggles in some cases, or asked questions about what's next on the journey. And so I really appreciate that you trust me with those moments of vulnerability, and this is giving the inspiration for today's live. So first, let's talk about resources. So what is your best resource? What is my best resource when it comes to the goal or the intention or the desire to be balanced and whole and show up in a way for my horse, or show up in a way for your horse that allows you to hold the space and really be available for a strong relationship, and for creating an environment and a lifestyle that helps your horse be happy and stress-free. So the answer to that is, I am my best resource. You are your best resource. Have you guys experienced that over the years? Situations where you seek a resource externally or resources. I know I sure have over the years, really in an intense way, because I felt like that's what was going to help me create the life that I wanted with my horse. And coming full circle, realized that all these resources can be useful for me, but at some point I had stopped questioning myself, and I had completely turned blinders to my horse, and was, completely immersed in a methodology or an approach of a teacher that I had come to trust at different times. This happened in various instances. And so I wasn't asking myself, does this make sense to me? Does this resonate with me? Is this true for my journey? And I wasn't asking my horse. So please tell me if you guys, share in the community on my free Facebook group, the Horse and Soul Journey free Facebook group. Share with us or comment, give thumbs up here if that resonates with you, if that's something that you have also experienced. So, and at the end of this live, I'm going to share with you some of the resources on energy and some tips that I have found for me over the years, help me remain balanced or get balanced from an energy perspective. And I use those specifically not only in life in general, but to show up in a way for my horse that is balanced and whole. And if I know that I'm out of balance, these resources are also really helpful for me for that, because I give myself permission to just hands off with my horse, or, honor her space, give her space, and give myself the time and space that I need to get to a place where I can be balanced. So it's not that being out of balance is a negative thing. I view it as just an honest thing, and it's information. So everything has beauty in it in our lives. So for me, if I'm out of balance, I have some really great tools and resources available that I use, but I don't do it from a perspective of being judgmental of myself. Or if I'm working with clients, I talk about that because there's beauty in it. There's information in it, and it's real. It's who we are. And this is something that we all experience, is a fluctuating of balance in and out. So that's just part of this juicy journey. Okay, so back to me being my best resource and you being your best resource. The thing that I discovered is that trusting myself, like I was saying before, is something that I had lost, or maybe had never actually been able to do. And at some point that occurred to me, that regardless of the methodology or the teacher or the resource that I was using, the external thing or a person that was meant to help me and my horse, if I didn't trust myself enough and my horse enough to ask myself and ask my horse, is this useful for us? And if so, how? I was going to continue in a way that was seeking but never gaining what I, at my core and in my heart and soul, were really seeking. And that was to feel confident, to feel connected with my horse, to feel that I was worthy, and to feel that I deserved to be in the space of not only my horse, but oftentimes the people I would surround myself with in my journey of learning and development. Because I didn't trust myself, I was lacking the core ingredient that was going to help me really live the life of contentment and joy that I wanted to live when it came to horses. So I want to talk about that more, and what that looks like in life when we do get to a place where we trust ourselves. And give you some specific, I wanted to tell you a couple stories about how that came about for me, and how I had some experiences where I had made some tough decisions based on that. And I would love to hear from you guys if it resonates, and some of your stories and connection on that as we continue this discussion during this live video, and also in the Facebook community. So I'm going to be also delving further into this subject in really specific ways in my upcoming pilot program that starts November 1st. It's a 30-day program, and every week we'll go through a different phase of development or information. And I'm really excited about this because the people that choose to join this beta version, this pilot program, will not only pay less than future launches, but will also be a huge part of the development, because I'm going to offer this pilot program for a lower cost, and it's going to be a lot of engagement, an hour probably a week on live video and with me, and input and questions and engagement with participants is going to help me really develop based on the needs of the people that are called to join. And a month after that, or 2 months after that, I will unroll an updated version based on all that wonderful engagement with the participants. And those who sign up for this pilot program will have lifetime access to every new version, all resources and tools. And also, the most important maybe is the Facebook community that is going to be for, again, lifetime access. And for the paid Horse and Soul program members, this is close to my heart because community is so important, and energetically we can connect purposefully with people, with energies, with beings that are not physically in our space, but are in alignment, in soul alignment, energetic alignment. And things like Facebook and other mediums of technology, like social media, have really made it possible for us to purposefully create communities and be surrounded by energies and connected with energies of beings that are in alignment. And this can make all of the difference when we are creating our intentional life experience. And so I'm really excited about this. Okay, so the first week of the pilot program is going to be all about getting real, getting raw, and getting clarity. So through that week, we're going to delve into the idea of trusting yourself, and I'm going to give practical applications and experiences, and there'll be, discussion on that. So developing trust in yourself is going to be a huge part of that, and getting clear on what it is you really desire. And then phase 2, week 2, will be followed up by the energy and how to use the energy, better understanding of the energy, developing a strong foundation of how to use energy in your life. And again, through practical applications. I'm getting some really great questions from you guys, as well as some incredible stories and also sharing of your vulnerabilities. And I'm so honored. And the energy is a big part of the discussion, because many of you, just like I was, are feeling the energy around you, maybe of other people and environments, or you are recognizing things showing up in your life that clearly are coming from the energy. It's not something you can see physically, but you know it's there and it's affecting you. And so the second week of this 30-day pilot program is going to be all about how to practically use the energy in a way that is useful rather than being draining or being scary or feeling confused about it, that kind of thing. And again, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys some of the resources that I use that specifically relate to the energy. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Okay, so a couple of experiences that I've had that I wanted to share with you on once I got clear about who I really am and what really matters to me, my goals, my dreams when it comes to my life with horses, and began trusting myself. I let go of a couple of things in my life that were so important to me and that had meant so much to me and meant so much to me at the moment that I let it go. So I was at a place where I loved myself enough and I trusted myself enough and I was clear enough with myself that even though I loved these things that were very important in my life and had done and meant so much to me, I trusted the guidance. I trusted my inner guidance, my inner wisdom that told me you have to let this go. So I'll tell you, there's two that I wanted to share with you today, and please share, about some things that you've had to let go through learning to trust your inner guidance. So number one, in 2014, I decided to close down a small business that I had here in Hawaii. At that point, I had owned this business for 8 years. I was a franchisee originally. When I opened, it was a tanning salon. When I opened this tanning salon, I was about 26-ish, I think. And I'd come out of the military, and I just really wanted to have my own business. And anyway, so I got to the place where I opened it. I found this franchisor that I wanted to work with, that I felt like was a good support partner for me, and offered a good support system for me as a first-time business owner. So I put everything that my husband and I had financially into this business, and we opened it. It was, as many of you know, I'm sure those of you who have your own business, give a thumbs up if you can identify with this. It was, full on, eat, breathe, sleep your business for a little while, for those, especially the first, I'd say 5 years. So it was like my baby, I had created it. I had given everything for it. I had put everything into it. And at times that those were things that my husband did not agree with, for instance. My life partner did not see it the same way that I did. So it affected us, and we had to work through those experiences. So this really was a huge part of my life, this business. And I had finally come to a place where I had the most incredible team working at this business. It really felt like family. And I had to get honest with myself and face my shortcomings as a business owner, and then get honest with my team. And I had put myself into some learning and development programs about culture that spoke to me, finding mentors that would help me uncover what wasn't working for me, that, the approach that I was using. And we, had really turned things around over the last probably 4 to 5 years. And so it really was an incredible part of my life, this business, and had turned into something so positive that not only was a business, but it was a family. It was a part of me. And then for a couple years, now I will say before I tell you what I'm going to tell you about what was happening that led me to shut down my business. I had no idea about energy. I believed in psychic ability of people, for instance, but I had limited understanding or knowledge. And I was also just unsure about that. To me, it was sort of a foreign world. So for me, when I started to get guidance that came in the form of clear thoughts and also almost like so strong, these thoughts, that it was like a little voice, for at least a couple of years, I was clearly being told that I needed to shut this business down. And after everything that I was just telling you about that I put into it and that it meant to me, and finally coming to a place where it could be really successful. I'd learned so much. We had done so much to transition and had this incredible team. But I literally came to a place where the guidance was so strong that I was having physical conversations. I would be driving down the road. And again, this was a foreign experience for me. This is not normal in my life. And, talking with guides or spirit and understanding myself as an empath and clairsentient. So the psychic realm was very much foreign to me. So, but still, I knew that I was getting guidance at that time. So the guidance for me was, you have to shut this down. It has run its course in your life. It has given you what was necessary or needed between the two of you, that what it was here to offer you has done. And until you shut this business down, the doors that are waiting to open for you in your life are not going to open. And again, it took me a couple years before I finally listened. And the process of I just shut the business down. I did not sell it or that kind of thing. The process of doing that took me a couple months when I really committed to it. It was very emotional for me. It was emotional for my team. And I decided, based on the guidance I had been given, and finally trusting that inner wisdom, right? That inner, even though it was scary as hell, trusting that inner wisdom, inner intuition, trusting me. I did this, but this was the first time in my life I walked away from something that was not because it felt negative or I'd had a bad experience. It was because I knew it was time, and I had to trust that guidance that came from within. So I said to my team and all of my customers, this is happening. You can imagine many did not understand. And I showed up. My intention was to show up. And I promised them I'll be here till the end. And my team of employees stayed until the end, even though they needed to find other options and move on. They stayed until their last shift was scheduled, until that last day. And my customers had some colorful things to say to me. They had some opinions and they had some unsolicited advice, but I honored that. And to this day, walking through that experience awake and present and letting it be important for everybody that it affected, in a way that felt like honoring that rather than it being about me, was the most powerful experience of my life. And that really shifted things in my life, because the moment that I shut that business down within days, I was enrolled in a psychic development course. Like I said, I literally thought, well, I'm not psychic. This isn't me. But the chain of events that led me to enroll in a psychic development course were so clear, and they unfolded so easily and with such flow that I knew I was supposed to be there. So I did it thinking, well, there's another reason I'm supposed to be there, but not because I'm psychic or have any of that kind of ability. And I learned through that experience, through that time in that course, creating a foundation, that I was in fact psychic. I am in fact psychic. And it changed my life because it filled a void that I had been trying to fill for so long, and had come to a place where I knew self-love was the thing I needed to really develop at the core of everything. And at this time when I went through psychic development, I was able to learn what an empath was, that I'm an empath. I was able to get tools and skills and a community that were like me and that unconditionally love me, and see that the world I've been walking through, the way I've been walking through the world, it wasn't authentic to me. Many things were, but when I opened my eyes and when this door opened to me, because I had shut down or closed the door that was supposed to be closed, everything unfolded that I never even knew I was waiting for. So, have you guys experienced that? Have you had a situation where you didn't even know what the dream was? You didn't even know what the future held, but you knew you had eyes to see. You wanted to be open. You wanted to have an open heart, and you trusted inner wisdom and trusted yourself and closed a door on something or walked away from something, and then the new door opened and it was everything you could never have known to dream for, because it's really coming to you. It's like I was waiting for me on the other side of that new door that opened. Is my experience. I'd love to hear about yours. And then a second experience I had, very specifically related to my world with horses, and getting honest with myself about my unique calling in the world when it comes to horses. That was also difficult and painful for me, and I grieved, was when I trusted my inner guidance to walk away from the Pirelli program. I had been involved for about a decade, and I, at the time, was a licensed Pirelli professional and pursuing that path. And because of my experience and shutting down my business and subsequent experiences in life, and at this point being very much awake and being me 100%, and knowing who I am, it came pretty quickly when for me to trust the messages and the wisdom and the guidance I was getting, trust myself. But I began to get the guidance and knew that it wasn't because it wasn't that there was something negative happening at a Pirelli organization, for instance. It was simply that my time there in this particular way was intended to come to an end. And unless I closed that door, the door that was meant to open for me to truly step into my truth and my authentic calling, to give a voice to the horses and incorporate very much the energy and the psychic aspect, which is just normal for me. At this point, it was very much a part of my life, and it was something that I was feeling that I needed to keep very separate from that aspect of my life. But it's just the way I walk through the world, and I gained clarity through guidance that there are so many of us waking up to our truths in this way and experiencing our journey with horses in this way. And I had to walk away as a Pirelli student and a Pirelli professional, and it had nothing to do with a negative experience. And so it's the experience of giving up something that I love, but I knew at that point that I had to trust. So I cried, I grieved it, I honored it, I celebrated it, and I let it go. And so because I had come to a place where I knew I had to trust my inner guidance first, and I loved myself enough to see the wisdom in that and not second guess it. I made that decision. So I do that much quicker these days. I make sure that I do get myself balanced and clear. And I've learned, if you're not sure, then get sure, find out. And I use my tools and resources to do that. To get clear that I'm getting guidance rather than something that is based in fear, for instance. But yeah, those are two huge decisions that I made to walk away from things that I love, and also that I'm walking away from people, whole ways of life. And while they were in some ways painful, the doors that opened afterwards have been very aligned with where I'm supposed to be and where I'm headed. And so I'd love to hear what you guys have experienced in honoring your guidance and your inner wisdom and trusting. And if you've had to walk away from things or people or situations that you loved or you had no ill feelings toward, but you just knew they had the door needed to be closed. And I'd love to hear about the doors that opened on the other side. So please join us in the course community, Horse and Soul Journey free Facebook group, and you'll see my. I'm trying to learn to point to this on here. CrystalOvera.com. There's a link when you go to my website as well. I told you guys I was going to share with you a couple of resources. So I shared this book this week on my page, and I think in the group as well. So this is the Empath's Survival Guide, Life Strategies for Sensitive People by Judith Orloff, MD. Dr. Orloff's works were huge in the beginning especially, but throughout my time in my life since I have learned that this is who I am, that I'm empathic, clairsentient, sensitive. And she, even if you don't consider yourself an empath, in this book, Dr. Orloff talks about the differences between empaths and what is known as highly sensitive people. But this book's useful in learning about strategies to use if you're feeling sensitive. So even if it's not something that you identify as, if being an empath is not something that you identify as, this could be a great resource. Okay, here's some of my favorites. I'm going to hold them both up. So this is Energy Medicine by Donna Eden and Energy Medicine for Women by Donna Eden. Invaluable resources. So guys, Donna Eden she sees the energy grids and the energy systems, and her calling is what she has created in Donna Eden's Energy Medicine. So I encourage you to consider some of her sources, because as you learn some of the energy tools, like the 5-minute daily energy routine, you also can begin to use that not only for yourself but your animals, I've discovered. And again, you got to trust your own instincts and guidance on that. But showing up balanced and whole, or some of you guys have been connecting with me, talking about your experiences and sensitivities with the energy. Donna Eden would be my recommendation for your first first resource. So she will give you in her books and on her website. And she's also active on social media. I think there's a weekly energy practice, one simple tool that's given, for instance, on the Donna Eden Energy Medicine Facebook page. So really, really readily available. And I recommend that you consider that if you're seeking to understand more about the energy. And a couple tips I was going to give you. So just things that I've learned that are common, and I know Dr. Orloff talks about this. Donna Eden also does, and other teachers about energy, and especially for empaths. Things that affect us, like our food, caffeine, really affects me, and I can get quite jittery to a point where it almost makes me anxious or nervous feeling. I've discovered a sensitivity to gluten, and I can get really bogged down, and I can be more affected by the energies around me if I overdo it. So what I've discovered very specifically with food is that I pay attention, and I've of course sought out, professionals like naturopaths and different people to help me identify things that affect me. And what I discover is at different phases in the month, different time periods, different seasons of the year, I am affected differently by some things, and so it's simply cutting things out that don't work for me. And that does show up differently for each person, but specifically for me and for most empaths, I believe, the caffeine and sugar, those are things that can really have a major effect as far as getting oversensitive to energies around you, feeling exhausted, because it does all that damage to our adrenals, and it really causes us to feel drained. And so those are a couple tips that I've learned can make a huge difference in the way I feel regarding my sensitivities to energies and my ability to remain grounded and in balance. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Please join us over in the Horse and Soul Free Facebook group, and let's continue this conversation. Can't wait to hear some of your stories. Aloha.